Hi there, this is Sherry Hayes with MomDelights.com, and today I want to go over this free PDF that I'm offering. It's a notebooking journal to study the Cold War. Stay tuned. So, my daughter has been fascinated by the Cold War. So I said, well, we'll just study it because, especially in the teen years, the thing is that you've taught them the basics pretty much, but you just kind of want to review that, but you want to give them opportunities to follow their delight. What is making them happy? So we decided to do the Cold War. So I developed a system and I put it on one sheet. The original thing was on one sheet. And I just handed this sheet to her, and I put activities, read, research, and define, and I put it all right here. And I gave it to her, and, we have a system going, so pretty much I didn't have to do too much. She's still working on it. She's worked through most of it. She's put a lot of work into these things, and now she's just defining them lastly, and it's really cool how it's worked out. Okay, but I thought, well, in order to have this to pass down to other people, and to make this less work for anybody, I thought I could just put it together and make it into like a notebooking journal kind of a thing. And so this is what I created. And this is I don't know, one of my daughters didn't know what this was. This is actually a picture, a photograph of a nuclear mushroom cloud that I cut out and put on here. So it's kind of sad and scary in one way, but it's really indicative of what we're experiencing right now. Right now, in our culture, we're experiencing actually an atomic blast of cultural proportions. I don't know if you know that, but anyway. So this is like the introduction, and I've changed it and I've honed it a number of times, but I printed this out in one of the drafts that I printed out. And in here I also have different notebooking pages. I don't have a notebooking page for every subject covered. I have blank ones as well, but just like the main ones to kind of show how to do things. I have maps. Here's the USSR, and this is for to label and fill in. And then I have the Iron Curtain. This is something that someone could fill in, and that was a term that was coined originally by Winston Churchill, I believe. But you'll find that out, won't you? Okay, and so here's one of the blank notebooking pages. Oh no, actually this is for watching a movie. So you watch a movie and it tells you what to do with that. Let's see, I have in here, I'll show you a reading list. So this reading list goes over like the reasons I chose these books and why they're important to read. And I tell you what, they are riveting. But yeah, this is not really something that a little child would enjoy, but I think really you would enjoy it. You as a homeschool mom, I think that if you read these things, it would really help you to deal with our current conundrum in our culture in America, in the West especially, and even in the East. So I think this would be very helpful. And like God's Smuggler, okay, about Brother Andrew, that'll help you with your walk with God every day, okay? In God's Underground, oh boy, what a story. Live not by lies. It helps you just in every age how to stand for truth. It's based, that live not by lies is something from Solzhenitsyn. So Reagan in His Own Hand. This is very interesting. Our daughter loved reading this one. It's really cool. It's what Reagan actually wrote, and it helps explain the Cold War. One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich and the Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Whoa. These are riveting reads as well. Serious, though. These are serious, dramatic reads. They're not lighthearted. This one is not lighthearted. These are not lighthearted. These maybe, this one's not lighthearted, but there's so much depth to these books. I mean, it will deepen your walk with Christ. Okay. Of Whom the World Was Not Worthy. Now this deals with it goes through World War II and then into the Yugoslavia under Tito. And so it explains a lot of things, how things developed in that region, and it's kind of important, although it's not necessarily only, I guess it is about the Cold War, but it's really about people who had to deal with all these changes and their walk with God. This right here will encourage your faith. Okay, The Naked Communist, The Naked Capitalist, The Naked Socialist. My daughter bought these books and is reading these to her children, and because she has a couple teens. And I got to tell you, she says these books they just really explain the whole thing. and what's going on now. So those are all good things. There are other books that you can get on the whole subject, but these are the ones that I thought really brought a lot of value to it. So anyway, now here's a movie list that I made. Now, movies sometimes can get you enthused on a subject. They can help you, like, sometimes they pull together a lot of different things, but the dramatic presentation of these ideas kind of help with your interest and keep your interest going. So Dr. Zhivago, of course, this story is about an adulterous relationship, but it takes you from before the Bolshevik Revolution, and it carries you all the way through, and it explains some of the infighting in Russia at the time. We don't think about that, but even the Russians were, like, there were some moderates, there were some extremists, all different things were going on in here. So this kind of helps explain that period of time. Torn Curtain is one of those Alfred Hitchcock masterpieces, and it has Paul Newman and Julie Andrews, who was in The Sound of Music. So this is a lighter treatment of the whole situation, but it's still very serious. Then other movies of interest, that what I try to do when I get movies, I try to choose movies that are before 1968 or around then, or were made for television, because then they don't have the nudity and the sexual content and the vulgarity that you would have. After 1968, they repealed the Hayes Act, so everything's kind of... Sorry, that was somebody upstairs moving a chair. But anyway, so they repealed the Hayes Act, so a lot of junk came into our movies. Then they had the rating system, you know, the G, PG, PG-13, R, all that kind of stuff. But before that, movies in general had to be under a certain code. So I have The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. That's with Richard Burton in 1965. That's a good one. Failsafe, 1964. The Manchurian Candidate, 1962. Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy. That's 1979, but it's made for television. I would think it was a BBC thing. The Russians Are Coming. This is a comedy in 1966, so take it with a grain of salt. Smiley's People was a BBC TV series in 1982, and these two things are the actual people that are that were in intelligence. They say Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, and Smiley's People are really like what spying really was back then. And another thing to, if you can go on YouTube, you can find all kinds of documentaries on the Cold War, and something that's really interesting to watch documentaries about is East and West Berlin. I actually traveled to West Berlin when I was in high school, and I saw the East-West Wall, and we looked over it, and I have lots of stories about that. But also, I was in military intelligence during the Cold War, and lots of things I heard and I saw during that time that were considered top secret things helped me to realize that really God was in control. And we were always talked about how this is what we'll do when the balloon goes up. And the balloon goes up meant when there was a nuclear threat, someone had pushed a button for a nuclear war, or when the Soviet troops flowed into Europe, Western Europe. And we talked about that. And what I saw was that there were so many opportunities. You know, when you think of the different things that happened that started World War I or World War II, that there were many, many incidents during that time that could have started war at any time. And they continue to be the same. But what we find is that God is in control. He's in charge. So no matter what time we're in, it's God's timing, it's God's purposes, and you know that really puts your heart at rest. So I hope this will bless you. I'm going to put the link below to the blog post on my website, momdelights.com, and I'll put the link, and you can go and read that, or scroll down if you don't want to read it, that blog post, so that there will be a place where you can download and print this PDF. So make sure that you like and subscribe and click the bell so that whenever I make one of these things that, you know, you can take advantage of it. So I hope this blesses you in the Lord, and I hope this increases your knowledge of how He is working in your life and the world, even as it is today. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.